Hello, my name is Eric Banks. I am a senior software engineer and test with the quality department, and I am working closely with the Advanced Global Search Group. And today I'm here to show you the multimodal end-to-end tests of the API and the UI. Let me share my screen. There is a issue for this here. I'll link this in the description for the video below, as well as some demo test code that I have up. So the first thing we're going to do is prepare our environment to run the test. One of the things we'll need to do in the GitLab UI is to go to integrations, which is this page, and expand Elasticsearch and ensure that Elasticsearch is on and that our URL is set to localhost 9200 or wherever it is that you run your Elasticsearch service. You can confirm that it's running at the appropriate location by just hitting localhost 9200. The next thing we'll want to do is, well, before you do that, you'll actually want to make sure that you have a license, an EE license. So here, I already have one installed. Otherwise, you won't get Elasticsearch. Okay, so we have an EE license. We have Elasticsearch on. The next thing we'll do here is set up our environment variables. Because we're going to be doing an API test, we want to make sure that the UI gets triggered the least amount possible. And one way to do that is to unset the variable EE license. Otherwise the UI will trigger and it will try to generate one for you. Or it'll try to verify that there's one there, rather. And so we'll unset that, and then we'll make sure that we have a GitLab QA access token, which I've generated beforehand. So I will export that. Next, we'll set our Elasticsearch URL to the appropriate location. In this case, localhost 9200. And we're setting this new environment variable called execute test via API. We'll set that to false first because we want to see the test run initially through the UI. Next, you'll want to make sure your GDK has been started, so we'll do that. And if you haven't already, start the Elasticsearch. Okay, we're good there. Let's pop over to the code for a second. This is the test that I've changed. I've moved it to a place called multimodal under the EE test. And this is Advanced Global Advanced Syntax Search Spec. Really what we're doing, I'll just jump to the meat of the test here. What we're doing is we're using search to find a project with this string, and we're expecting to find it. And then we're going to search in the project description, and we expect to find this string. And what we're doing is we're checking that environment variable called execute test via API. And if we're saying execute test via API is false, then we'll use the UI and we'll execute this to search by the UI. If it's true, then we'll execute the search via the API. So as you can see in the API search, we're just generating an API call and verifying that the JSON body matches what we expect. And when we're using the UI, we're actually logging in and clicking buttons and searching for the right strings. But the test logic is essentially the same. So let's see how these run. here is the test call. And in this case, we're going to execute headless false and see what happens. I'll move this out of the way so we can see the test kind of execute better. So there's the first pass. And there should be one more successful test. Yeah, okay, so we finished the test and it took 28.7 seconds. Now what we're going to do is we're going to change that environment variable execute test via API to true. And we'll run the test again. And yeah, you'll see the UI kind of popped up in the background, but it wasn't really doing the same things. So this time the test finished in 8.3 seconds, which is the main advantage of this approach, is that the API runs a lot faster than the UI, so you can get results faster. We can also set it up, we can set up the schedules so that for every MR, for example, you can run just the API versions of these tests to confirm that the logic behind your changes is working correctly. And then on a nightly schedule, we could change it to run the UI and therefore check both the UI and the API functionality to make sure they're the same and verify that they're working both equally well with the changes that you've made. So yeah, that's my demo. If you have any comments or questions, feel free to write them out onto the issue or ping me directly. Okay, thanks.